Welcome to Hustle and Flow with Heather Hubbard, episode number 52. Hi, I'm Heather Hubbard, and I was a litigator, partner, and practice group leader at an AmLaw 200 firm. I know what it takes to rise to the top. I also know all too well the toll it can take on your personal life. So how do you shine bright without burning out? How do you embrace your ambition without selling your soul? You're listening to the Hustle and Flow podcast. Welcome back. I am your host, Heather Hubbard, and I am really excited to share this week's topic with you. It comes up a lot with the clients that I work with, and I think you're going to get a lot out of it today. It's all about how to move from the friend zone to actually landing clients. But before we get into the topic for today, I wanted to give you a heads up. So as you may recall, I had 2 beta rounds of Legal Career Clarity last year, and we have been working hard behind the scenes to get everything finalized and up and running for you. And that day is almost here. So I wanted to let you know that if you go to legalcareerclarity.com, right now you will just see a blank page with a button that says get on the wait list. And what that's going to do is notify you as soon as everything is ready. If you get to that page after everything is ready, here's what you're going to find. First, a quiz. Just how ready are you to change jobs? And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want you going through this process if you're not ready. So step number 1, take this quiz, see how ready you are. And then depending on your results, I have very specific recommendations for you, including, if you're ready, a free video training series. And it's really good. It walks through some of the steps that I include in the course itself. So by the end of that training, you'll know what your next step is. And if it makes sense for you, you can then sign up for the course. So if you are having any doubts about your career, you're not sure if you should be looking for another job, head on over to legalcareerclarity.com and either sign up for the wait list so you'll be the first to know when it's open, or if it is open, go ahead and take the quiz to find out whether or not you are ready. Okay, let's move to today's topic, the friend zone. Okay, what exactly do I mean by the friend zone? The friend zone is where most attorneys spend all of their time developing business, but never getting business. Okay, here's what I mean by that. When we start trying to develop business, when we listen to our mentors, when we listen to others that have come before us that have great books of business, when we read, any kind of marketing book or materials, everything says to start with relationships, right? You're supposed to build relationships. And that's 100% true. That's correct. You should be building relationships. Otherwise, it's just going to come across as salesy, and you're probably not going to get the work anyway. That said, if you focus on the wrong type of relationship, or if you are focused on the relationship itself and nothing more, you will never get the business. And so then you become friends with someone, you feel like you know them really well, and something they get sued or a case comes in, they have a merger, an acquisition, and you find out that you're not the one that's doing the work. They hired someone else, and you are crushed. You are heartbroken because you thought you had been spending so much time with that person. You'd really gotten to know them. You had spent time with them. You've met that person's husband or wife, their partner. You've met their kids. You've had play dates. And they hired someone else. It's so frustrating. What happened, the reason why you didn't get hired, was because you were in the friend zone. You got stuck in the friend zone. And so today's episode is all about helping you identify what the friend zone is and how to stay away from it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for having clients that are also friends. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a great relationship with people or that you shouldn't try to make friends with other people. But keep in mind what your objective is. Because my guess is when you first started developing that relationship, it was not because you needed another friend. It's not because you were looking for another friend. You probably started that relationship thinking you might eventually get business out of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think sometimes we think of marketing and sales as icky or manipulative or just somehow immoral, unethical, or wrong. There is nothing wrong with developing a relationship based upon the prospect of helping someone. But when we get too focused then on building that relationship, that's where it all goes awry. So let's talk about this. So once you become friends, it's often harder to ask for the business because you then don't want to ruin the relationship. You're worried about how the request will even be received, right? So you're building this friendship on the basis that you'll one day get business, but you don't ever want to ask for the business because you're worried it will ruin the relationship. Do you see that circular thinking? It's a problem. But it is true. Once you become friends, it is harder to ask for the business because you're worried about what it will do to the friendship. And if you're on the receiving end of that ask, let's say you're in-house counsel and you develop a friendship with someone, it's probably hard for you to then say yes. It's probably hard for you to then hire that person because you too are concerned it will ruin the relationship. If something doesn't work out, then what? Then what? What if there's a bad result or you just don't do good work? It could ruin the relationship. And your friend probably doesn't want that. They like the friendship. And this is especially difficult. I think it happens more often than not for women because women are relationship-based to begin with. And so once you develop that friendship, once you develop that relationship, you hold on to it very tightly and you don't in any way want it to be damaged. And so then you don't ask for the work or you're reluctant to give it because of what might happen next. And obviously, I don't have experience with this, but I have heard from women of color that it's even harder to have those discussions or to get that business when you're dealing with two women of color. So if you have inside counsel that is a woman of color and you have outside counsel that is really just a friend at this point that is a woman of color, it makes it very difficult to invest because if the case goes south, if the transaction goes south, then it makes both of you look bad. And there's this belief that only one of you can look bad, right? You don't want to create a situation where the company never wants to invest in a woman of color in-house or outside again. Now, I personally think that that's probably not true, but I don't know. And I have been told that that's certainly an issue. So I do bring it up if you feel that pressure, if you're a woman of color. So what do we do? If we're trying to build relationships, but we're trying to avoid the friend zone so that we don't cut ourselves off from potential work, what do we do? What do we do? I have a few tips for you today that I think will help. The first is, I want you to start talking shop regularly. You should start the relationship. You should start the conversations talking about shop. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have personal conversations as well. But if you're not starting with the foundation of talking business from the very beginning, it makes it harder and harder to then bring business into the conversation. So start from that place where you are both always comfortable talking about what you do, your business, and theirs, right? So never have a conversation, especially in the beginning, because you don't know them well enough where they would just be picking up the phone and asking friendly advice. Especially at the very beginning, you want to make sure that every conversation has some discussion around your careers and your business. That will set the tone moving forward. It will also make clear the expectation that there might be a business opportunity to come out of this. If you go into it trying to make them think, I'm not wanting your business, right? Because you don't want to seem salesy, you don't want to seem slimy. So you're like, oh, I'm not trying to get your business. I just want to be your friend. Well, you're starting the relationship off on the wrong foot. And if you then shift to business, you have manipulated the other person. That may not be your intention, right? Like you may not really be trying to manipulate them, but that's what you're doing essentially, because you've made them believe that the relationship is something that it's not, okay? So make it clear from the very beginning that you are going to talk shop. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Nothing wrong with that. Business people talk shop all the time. It is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, number 2, let them see you. Let them know you in your business role. Okay, so let's assume that your child plays soccer and there is another child on the soccer team whose parents are both lawyers. They're both inside lawyers in-house. And you're like, this is perfect. I now have 2 prospects that I can work on getting business from. And so you decide that you want to develop a relationship with that couple. Awesome. You are on the soccer field almost every weekend. You've got practice. This is perfect. And so you start to get to know them. You casually bump into them. You have informal conversations. And then when it comes up that you're both lawyers, you act surprised. Oh, I didn't know you were a lawyer. When, of course, the whole time you knew that. You were trying to set it up that way. So then you start talking about the kids. You start doing dinner dates, but you're never really talking about work. And so they maybe only see you in your casual clothes. They only see you as a soccer mom, as a soccer dad, right? They're not seeing you as an attorney. So even if you told them at some point that you are an attorney, even if you told them that you're a litigator, even if you told them that, you know, who your other clients are, if they're only seeing you in one way, that's how they'll remember you. That's how they'll know you. So you need to be seen. You need to be known in your business role. And one way that you can do that, you're still out on the soccer field, but as you start to see them more, you can say, we should have lunch sometime, especially if you work in a similar area. We should grab lunch sometime. We should grab coffee when you're in your business clothes, when you're in your suit, right? And then you can go talk shop. You can talk personal stuff as well, but let them see you in that way. Similarly, if you're doing a seminar, if you're hosting something at your firm where, again, you're in your element, invite them. Invite them so that they can come see you that way. Let them hear you speak. Let them see you in your corporate setting. If you're always in the friend zone doing extracurricular activities, whether it's golfing, running, on a nonprofit board, at the soccer field, whatever it is, if you are meeting people in more casual, personal situations, but you're never translating it into a business situation where they can see you and hear you as a lawyer at your best, they will never remember you that way. Okay. Number 3, ask questions. I guarantee you that you're great at asking personal questions. How many kids do you have? Where do your kids go to school? Where are you from? Right? All of that stuff is super easy because when you ask those questions, it feels like you're being genuine. It doesn't feel like you're being salesy or slimy. It just feels normal. So it's super easy to ask those questions and not get in your head. But the types of questions that I'm wanting you to ask are business related. And people tend to get tripped up when they start asking business related questions because we get in our heads and we think that as soon as we start asking business related questions, we're being nosy, we're being pushy, we're being salesy. The truth is, we all love to talk about ourselves. And unless you're just really socially awkward, most people aren't going to be offended. When people start asking you questions about your role, your business, your expertise, do you start to question what their motives are? Or do you really enjoy the conversation? People enjoy the conversation. So part of this is just getting comfortable with the fact that you're not nearly as obnoxious as you think you are being when you ask questions. Okay? So just try to keep the same frame of mind about asking business questions as asking personal questions. So you want to find out their role in the company. How many people do they oversee? What are their aspirations? Do they even want to stay at that company? Do they enjoy it? What about their boss? What about their colleagues? What about the work that they're doing? Does the company have big projects coming up? Big plans? Have those conversations. Have conversations about, politics in the company. Anything and everything related to business is fine. I mean, obviously you want to share too. If you're interrogating them and, it's obvious that you're just trying to acquire information for your own good, yeah, that's going to be really weird. That's going to be really awkward. But that's not what you're doing. You're just trying to get to know them better. And obviously you can share that information as well, because they're probably going to start asking those questions of you if you're asking it of them. And again, that can still be a very casual, friendly conversation, but you're learning more about them and their business. And number 4, focus on serving. Focus on helping. If when you're having these conversations, when you see that there is another soccer parent that's on the team that's in-house counsel, and you think, oh, there might be a possibility to work together. As you're getting to know them, as you're asking questions, focus on how you can help, right? This is not about you. We only get in our heads, and we only tend to screw this up when we're focused on ourselves, when we keep thinking, oh, I'm trying to get something out of them. As long as you're focused on helping them, that can make it so much easier on you and them. One, if you're focused on helping them, and if you are genuinely interested in learning more about them and who they are, they're going to receive that well. They're not going to be offended. And if they are, you're probably never going to land that work anyway. You're probably not even going to be good friends. You're just going to keep seeing them because you think it's leading somewhere that it's not. And no one's going to have any fun in the process. And my theory is that we should all be measuring our success by how much fun we're having, because if we make a lot of money, if we have a lot of accolades, but we don't actually enjoy what we're doing, what is the point, right? So just focus on serving, focus on helping, and that's going to make everyone feel so much more comfortable. And if you cannot truly help them and you're approaching it from an authentic and genuine place, you'll never try to sell them something that won't work anyway. So that allows you to feel integrity and to not feel icky or salesy or manipulative. Okay. If you're doing all of these things, you should not end up in the friend zone. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't actually be friends. It just means you're not going to get stuck there. So here's how you know whether or not you have moved beyond the friend zone or never got stuck there to begin with, okay? Here's what you should know about that person if you are not in the friend zone. You should know how long they have worked at their current employer. You should know how they got that job to begin with. You should know why they chose that company. You should know whether or not they're happy where they are. You should know whether they're seeking a promotion or hoping to climb the ladder within their company, or if they're looking for other opportunities to eventually lateral over somewhere else. You should know their career aspirations. You should know what drives them crazy about their job. You should know who their outside counsel is and when they're hiring outside counsel. You should know what's kept in-house and what the decision-making process is for whether something is kept in-house or goes outside. You should know what's going on at the company. You should know if there are projects and plans coming up and how that's impacting your friend. You should know how your friend feels about their boss, their colleagues, the people that work under them, their teams, their business teams, not just legal teams. You should know all of that. If all you know is about their personal life, if you only know about their romantic relationships, their children, where they like to shop, where they like to eat, where they're going on vacation, if that's all you're ever discussing, you are in the friend zone, and it's important to get out of that zone or you are never going to get the work. Now, never's a strong word. You might get it, but you're probably not going to. And if you've ever felt frustrated with the fact that you build these relationships and people don't ever hire you, this is the problem. You're stuck in building a friendly relationship as opposed to a friendly business relationship. At the end of the day, it's important to remember that you are not here to make friends. You are here to grow your business. And that may sound awful to you, but that's the truth. And as long as you just hope that people will give you work and that if you're nice to them and you have good relationships, they'll send it your way, you're not going to grow your business. And here's the thing. Just because you're here to make friends doesn't mean that you won't actually make more friends. I mean, if that is what comes out at the end, is that you get a client and a friend, that is awesome. That's awesome. But remember that first and foremost, you're trying to grow your business. And yes, you're still building a relationship, but just remember what kind of relationship it is. All right, so let's summarize again what you should be doing from the very beginning to stay out of the friend zone. Number 1, talk shop regularly. Number 2, let them see you and know you in your business role. Number 3, ask questions about their business and career. And number 4, focus on serving and helping them. That's it. If you follow those 4 rules of relationship building when it comes to growing your business, you will move from a place of just being friends to a place of getting new business. There is a lot more to this, and I actually have a workshop on asking for business, which is all about relationship building and actually making the ask. So if this is something that your organization, your firm struggles with, and you would love to have someone come in and do an entire workshop for your attorneys, your diversity council, your women's initiative, I would absolutely love to talk to you about that. You can learn more about the services and workshops that I offer, or reach out and contact me on my website at heatherjoyhubbard.com. Again, that's heatherjoyhubbard.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoy this episode, I would love for you to leave a rating and review. It's always helpful for other attorneys to see the podcast if they see that other attorneys speak highly of it. So I would appreciate a rating and review if you have not already left one. Again, thank you so much, and I will see you next week. For show notes, downloads, and other free resources, And to keep the conversation going, head on over to hustleandflowpodcast.com. See you there.